Hello and welcome to Sorare TV and this episode of the community topic. And you know, it's been a week overdue. I can only apologise for that, but we have got a doozy of a topic to go through today, so the wait is going to be absolutely worth it. We're going to be discussing pro lineup constructions in terms of where to buy the super rares, what positions to fill them in for, and you know, we'll be stripping it back because one of the angles of this discussion topic that doesn't get brought up enough is what you're bringing to the table already. So we'll be talking about this from a real world perspective in the sense of the cards you've probably got already, because when you're going into pro, if you haven't been operating at rare already, it's one of those ones you better make sure you're not running before you can walk kind of idea. So most of the time when people are making that jump and they're going to make a right success of it, they've cut their teeth in rare first of all. They've got a team together that's scrambling between 250 and 300 points, typically speaking, and it's about that next step up. You know, can you reinforce with a couple of super rares within your budget and all of a sudden be much more competitive in a less populated, higher reward division? At any point in the video today, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble, and let's get stuck into it. Now, that is exactly where we're going to start with the video, is what are you actually bringing to the table? You know, that's the first thing you've got to assess, because when you're moving up divisions or when you're expanding strategies, when you're expanding your club, quite often you don't want to be, by definition, you're adding to the club as a net result, you know. Now, maybe you might trade some of your rare cards out for a super rare or something like that, of course, but typically speaking, you want to make sure that when you are taking on new parts of your strategy, you've got some crossover pieces, a goalkeeper that can play in a few different divisions and situations for you, a defender that is nailed on, might not be too glamorous, but, you know, he's going to get around 50 most game weeks. You've got a striker that plays, you've got midfielders that operate at a level. Typically, if you have been starting in the all-star rare, your team should be knocking out between 200 minimum and like 300 points if everyone's playing and ticking over and that sort of thing. So the first thing to analyse and the first thing to really assess before we even think about positions, before we even think about super rares, is of the points that we're currently getting at rare, who is the biggest, most important contributors to that? It doesn't need to be 3 of them, 4 of them, 2 of them. It might only be 1 of them. You might only have one guy who you're like, that guy is of a top caliber who can definitely move up. And then the rest of the team, if your accumulative points is around the 250, 300 mark, on a good week, you know, when they're all playing, they all get 90 minutes, that sort of thing, then there will be another piece or 2 that can, you know, do is for now, certainly. But it's important to identify really quickly what points are you going to be moving into this division already. If I've got a 300 point team and I'm going to move a midfielder that normally brings in about, let's say, 65, and then I've got a defender that's good for 40, and I've got a goalkeeper that's good for 40, that's only really 140 points before multiplier and captain bonus. So if we're bringing 140 points into all-star rare, we want to be getting 400 ideally, you know. So with another 2 cards to make up 240 points is a massive ask. Now 400 points isn't the minimum that you need, but it's certainly the target of where we want the team to be getting towards, because once you get into the 400 marks, that's when you can get really excited on a game week. So we're bringing in roughly about 140 points up into, you know, the all-star rare pro, for example. Now when I'm saying that, the goalkeeper's good for 40, the defender's good for 40 or whatever as well. If in the situation these guys do get clean sheets, of course the defender's going to gain 10 points and the goalkeeper's going to move up to 60, so that's another 30 points off the table that we wouldn't need to worry about in a slightly better situation. And again, if we're thinking about everything comes in and you're going to be flying right up to the top of the leaderboard, if your guy in midfield or up front can get a decent AA without the decisive, you're just then hoping the stars align and all these guys bang in clean sheets, assists, goals, whatever, in the same game week. That's the trick here then. Look at the capture to move that 140 base up to, say, 200 points all in. How likely is that for the cohort of guys you're going to be moving up? It's up to you to determine, and you'll know that from looking at their so rare data graphs, as well as just playing with them and cutting your teeth in that rare division. You know, that guy is reliable when he's just been in bad form, or this guy's he's a donkey and he's never going to get it, you know, or whatever. Flip side to that is you're moving up, or you have an elite rare or two already, like a stud, an absolute star of a forward, a midfielder, a defender, might even be the goalkeeper. But if you've got like key caliber cards that you know, well, this guy can get 80s, this guy can get 90s, this guy in a bad week pulls in 60, then you're already on your way moving forward. So it really depends on your starting position with what you've got already and what actual position in SO5 they operate in. Okay, so if we move all that to one side, the key things that I've learned in All-Star Rare Pro over the last 2 years or so that I think would be very valuable to consider when it does, because there's only a few real formulas, okay, and I'll kind of give some examples as we're going through them. But like I said, 400 and above is the target that we're looking for. Now, my kind of first mentality on All-Star Rare divisions, or Division 3 as we used to call them, was these super rares were like locked on captains. It's almost like buying a captain bonus for the rare, if that makes sense. Now, some guys, and I had a discussion with Laird at Lardino at Sorare Data on the channel about this. Some guys at Rare who will like knock in 42 to 56 points like every game week. That is a rare beyond threshold achievement, is not very useful in SO5. Maybe the underdogs, that kind of thing is a bit more valuable now, I suppose. But that kind of guy, as a super rare in the All-Star division, can then become a 70-point card, and that can make a big difference. So what positions in the pitch are the most expensive to get like really good rares for, that will bring in 70 points as a rare? That we can maybe find a doppelganger super rare that can actually bring in the same rough kind of points total in a bad case because of the super rare bonus that they're adding in. For me, probably the most undervalued position is the striker, for the simple reason that really good strikers that will get over 15 goals a season, will get over 20 decisives a season, always cost a lot of money. Now, guys that will get under 15 decisives every season are not that expensive, to be honest with you. The only problem with them can be is like getting ones that are nailed on to start, you know, and typically a lot of these guys won't have midweek utility in European football unless they're in a big team and they're a winger and they don't get too many decisives. But even then, if they're in a big team, they'll have a profile. That normally comes with a price also. But the kind of mid-tier, you know, see the kind of forwards that would be typically good for Eve Bashan, you know, they've got an AA of around 10, you know, for whatever the reason might be. And they can get, let's say, between 5 and 10 goals a season and around the 5 mark on assists. Then a super rare like that, forward, becomes very attractive to a lot of start-up All-Star Rare Pro divisions, because to get guys that would, you know, the net scores that those decisive actions will gain somebody, to get that same score from a rare card is very, very, very expensive. Now, midfield is one of these ones where buying the super rare, for me, has always been a lot of fun, because midfielders just offer so many point potential actions per game. You know, tackles, passes, shots, blah, blah, blah. You know, midfielders do everything. But with the associated cost of like good midfielders that you can get a great super rare for, that can be very useful in All-Star Pro, the price difference between them and a forward of the kind of profile I'm talking to you about can be wildly, wildly different. Forwards, for the most part, are very overlooked in the All-Star Pro division because the defenders are very cheap and affordable by and large, and a defender doesn't need much to go their way to get you 55 on AA without a clean sheet or something, and then with that super rare multiplier, you know, they get you over the line, they save the day for you. So the defender is certainly the most economic that everyone recognises, because there's just so many more of them on a starting 11 for any given team in modern football, as well as circulation on the platform. Recently as well, we've seen a resurgence of the Slowic strategy, you know, playing the super rare goalkeeper in Division 3 or All-Star Rare Pro, or any Rare Pro kind of division. And, you know, the goalkeeper offers the same dynamic for me as the forward, in the sense that, like, the price variance between a mid-tier super rare and a high-end rare is, it offers the same kind of differential for me. The thing with the goalkeeper is the play that offers you, if you've got a super rare goalkeeper and All-Star Rare Pro, is you're hoping to have the best scoring goalkeeper going. Okay, now that's only really useful if we go super rare goalkeeper. Maybe you do super rare defender as well, because it's a stack and it works like Channy Sports does, or maybe you've got a super rare somewhere else. But you're then trying to get the best goalkeeper because you believe already 3 of the rares that you will be deploying that's not the goalkeeper can be three of the best rares that game week. You know, guys that will score over 80. When you've got those types of rares in outfield, then having a super rare goalkeeper makes a lot of logical sense, you know. Same is true with the forward, the defender, the midfielder. There's a case for them all, okay? But for me, the main key constructions, okay, is we go with a rare goalkeeper, and then you either go super rare, defender, mid, rare forward, and then you've got an extra rare card for any position you want. That's what most people go for. It's a very tried and tested formation. It works very well. The rare forward, again, if it's that kind of mid-tier, but it's the rare, you're really going to be decisive reliant, and you know the AA isn't always going to be there. And the premium forward then, you know, would do a lot more for you. And that extra spot, I guess you can just play fixtures around that, you know, in terms of once you've got the forward locked in with the super rares, they will be locked in their position for defence and midfield. And it gives you real flexibility for the extra spot to be any position that you want. Probably the most common strategy, along with the rare goalkeeper, super rare defender double stack, and then rare mid and rare forward, because if you can get a better rare mid and forward in, and then you can just get really economic on the defence pairing, then with the super rare, you know, multipliers, maybe they're on a stack with the goalkeeper as well, the clean sheets all come in together, then you know that those are the two most common formulas. They work very well, they can be very economic. The ones that really throw the kitchen sink at it, but like I mentioned, is going to be the goalkeeper, 3 high-powered rares that you know are going to be in amongst it every game week to be at the top performers before multiplier and all that kind of nonsense. And then you've got the super rare to play any position. And when you do that method as well, you're maybe saving economically on the goalkeeper, but then that super rare, because you're not restricted on it needs to be a midfielder or it needs to be a forward or, oh, I've not got a defender yet, you can go and get the best super rare available to you. What is the best super rare available to you? That might just be the best priced one in the market. You may have a list of 10 guys and there's one guy that just ticks all the boxes, but normally the position might be in conflict because you've maybe already got 2 midfielders that would go into this division or whatever. But by having the goalkeeper there, it gives you a wee bit of freedom if you've got high powered rares to cover each of the other spots, to really be flexible and have your pick of the litter. We mentioned the economic one already: rare goalkeeper, super rare defender, rare mid, super rare forward, and then you've got the rare spot wild, so you can do anything. You can go get another defender at a very good price, because again, defenders just very much are cheaper than most other positions on the pitch. Or maybe you've got a high powered midfielder, striker, whatever, to add to the table as well. And you know, double striker is one of these plays that I really like doing. It's brought me a lot of success, but a lot of people just categorize it as a do or die play. And if your guys have AA, it doesn't need to be, you know, when I used to play Leroy Sané and Memphis Depay together all the time, I would win rewards even when those guys didn't hit decisives, because Sané's beating guys in dribbles and getting attempted assists galore, and Depay's hitting free kicks and getting shots on target and attempted assists and all that kind of stuff as well. So if you have the right forwards, then you're kind of set up for like a decent floor off of them. But forwards are always the most likely to get decisives, just like typically speaking in football, scoring goals and assists, etc. They're in the final thirds of the pitch more often in the match than any other position on a football team, you know. And having 2 guys then that are right on the edge of it, and again, depend on the calibre and the profile of them, maybe they get double decisives, maybe they're in the same team and they link up together. It's magical when that happens as well. But the double forward play, especially if one of them's a super rare, that can be cheeky as well. I think it's a very economic one in terms of the ceiling it can give you. The one that's probably going to be the most common in my club for the upcoming European season, FC Barcelona, is the double midfielder super rare. Now, I'm a big midfield guy. You know, when I watch football, midfielders are always the ones that catch my eye. Different profiles and sorts and roles of midfielder I find different appreciation for in football, and I like having in my club for different reasons. And just the natural congregation of all that, I've got a lot of super rare mids. I actually have a little bit less now after the big sell-off that I had last week, but the point still remains that, you know, I've actually got a lot of Celtic forwards. I'll be going a lot double forward, but I know outside of the Celtic plays, there's going to be a lot of double midfield action. I just feel with the midfielders, they're just more involved in everything. So like, if you think about like a Ki Sung-Young, for example, or a Hans Vanaken, or a Callum McGregor, or an Enzo Fernandez, the guys that get involved in as much football as possible score more points. As long as they're successful in doing so, of course. They're not losing their duels, they're not missing their passes, etc. Big chances missed and that kind of idea. So having 2 of them is super rare, locked in as captain. And again, what we've not touched on yet is We have a captain selection to go around as well as these super rares. So the net result, the way I used to think about it is I'll end up with 3 captains every game week, you know, and who would I want those captains to be every game week? The super rare, you're almost buying permanent status for them. And then the armband, if you like, on match day, you're then cycling between 3 people, maybe on fixtures and form or whatever. But I think if you're to go mega gung-ho, and I'll maybe dabble with this a little bit myself this season, but you could go rare goalkeeper, defender, mid, and double rare, double super rare attackers, which is the ultimate gung-ho play, I think, especially if it is guys that have got, you know, raw score before multiplier, 80 points capable. You know, like I benefited a lot last season from having guys like Giacomakis and Nemeka, and even when he was fit, Joseph Martinez. These super rare forwards in D3 can be stunningly successful. And if you've got the budget and you've got the balls, like double SR forward could be deadly. And if you've got behind them rock solid, steady guys that, you know, will do in bad game weeks like the mid 50s, and then if everything goes their way, they're getting close to 70 and beyond, then that's a great formula that, you know. But again, when you're working out the individual players, like this guy or that guy, specific individuals, what you're always going to try and work out is probability of frequency. You know, how often will this happen? How likely is this to happen? And, you know, when it does happen, you know, is it going to add up to enough? The minimum I would want to be kind of seeing with this team once it's all been put together is 380 points, you know, on normal average game weeks. And then if that's enough to get me into prizes, brilliant. And if it's not, then it's just one of those game weeks and it's been extra competitive, it's been extra busy. But I need that 400 plus capability, otherwise I'm not going to be excited going into the game weeks. You know, I want to feel podium dangerous, and even if it is a long shot, I need my guy's on penalties, you know, but if he gets a goal early, then there's a penalty in the match, he gets on 2 goals, the goalkeeper keeps a clean sheet, the fullback gets an assist, blah de blah. I need to have that going into the game week. If I don't have that, then I don't feel the team is ready, you know. So if you're looking at your teams and you don't feel that even in the blue moon scenario, everything could come off and you could win. If you don't even feel that, then the team's missing something. The All-Star Rare Pro Division, the America Pro Division, Champion Europe Pro, Challenger Europe Pro, Under 23 Pro, all these divisions are the ones I have the most fun in, I have the most success in, and I find are the ones that most people strive to be competitive in. For the upcoming season, I want to know in the comment section down below, what formation are you going to go for with your club? What did you think about the video today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share and retweet and all that good stuff. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.